to Esoterica. We've been on hiatus for a week.
How pathetic is that?
I know.
We're 10 episodes in. We need a break.
11, thank you. Wasn't it 11? Didn't we do 11?
No, it was 11, sorry.
Was the last one? Yeah, we did 11.
Don't even know.
Yeah.
Usually hear about hiatuses. They usually come in when bands have been on tour for several years and they need a break. They're burnt out.
It's actually because we were at the end of our ideas.
Well, actually, it's actually my fault.
It is your fault.
Poor planning on my behalf. So last weekend, I went to Auckland with my brother and family. We went and saw Aladdin on the Saturday night, which was very good.
Nice.
It was very good. It's what you sort of expect from a Disney show. It's very visually spectacular and not a whole lot of depth to it, but visually very, very good. I don't mean to bag on it.
Do they have the same songs as the film?
Yes, but they're jazzed up. Alibaba, yeah, it's very jazzed up.
It's my favourite song in the show, I think.
And Friend Like Me was stunning. Some of the sets were stunning.
All I could think was it Randy Newman? You got a friend in me.
Yeah. And talking of Randy Newman and that song,
Yes.
Rex Orange County does a song with Randy Newman. They do that song together. They do a duet that they released. And Rex Orange County was at Laneway, which my brother and I went to on the Monday, which was very, very good. What a segue.
I was going to say, can I compliment you and say that is the greatest segue I think we've ever had on this podcast?
Thank you. And it didn't even come from you. Usually,
I know.
Usually you're the king of segues.
Well, I don't know. Seeing as you've done one, it was better than any other segue we've done on this podcast so far. Yes.
So, Laneway was fantastic. So for those who don't know, Laneway is a music festival in Auckland. It runs over one day. It's been going for quite a while now. And it was the 10th anniversary, actually, of Laneway. And they had acts like Benny and Rex Orange County. Florence and the Machine were there. We didn't see Florence. We saw John Hopkins instead, who was stunning. And it was very, very good. I love music festivals. It's been a long time since I've been to one. And I got to go with my brother, who's heavily into music, like I am, but he's more up to date with.
Well, in another life, you've worked as a music journalist, haven't you? Or,
yeah. I don't know what I'm talking about. yeah. I think you're putting way more. You're putting way more.
Music is a big part of your life.
Yeah, it's a huge part of my life. Speaking of which, you'll notice that we've. So
this is actually the other reason, isn't it? This is the other reason that we were away for a week. Wasn't just for Anthony to go to Laneway.
No.
However, that was a big part of it.
Yeah.
It was also to do some work on our set.
Yeah, and we've
done it.
This took a week. No, we did this today, and it was we went to Mitre 10 Mega. And these are
what's a little bit concerning is that so there was some comment in the last video of work being done on the set that Anthony and I were not involved in the doing the work on the set,
which is true.
I know it's not much of an excuse, but part of the reason is because it was producer Caroline's baby, to be fair. Yeah. So producer Caroline has allowed us to
we've been granted permission.
Yes, that's right. To dress the set, and so we have our lovely lights, and we have our shelves on the wall here that we've put up. Now, as Anthony said, we've put these up today, and we've decorated these, and so we're really furiously hoping that the shelves stay there throughout the course of this podcast. Yeah. If producer Caroline had done them, they definitely would stay there. It's just that she let us loose.
She did.
With shelving.
For those of you who aren't watching the video and are just listening through your ears,
why aren't you watching the video?
And you'll and also you'll see some photos go up on Instagram and all that. But there's records behind us, and these are some of the records that I had in my collection that have gone up. Bands that we both like. Like Spiritualized and the Villains and Nick Drake.
This band right here.
Yeah, this band right here.
Yeah, love them.
And Sean Stevens, and Pavement, Arcade Fire and Talking Heads and Ariel Pink. It's naming bands now.
Shout out to the Villains, seeing as,
Yeah, the one New Zealand
Kiwi
band
band
we
up
have there.
Yep.
Flying on records. Yeah.
So that's why we've been away for a week. So thank you for being very, very patient with us. We've been toying around with the studio. Anthony was obviously away at Laneway. But we've also been toying around a little bit with the format of the show. So we talked a little bit the last time we were together. See, and I've now got to get used to the fact that the camera is there all the time and that you can actually see me. But we've been toying around a little bit with the format of the show and how the show is going to be put together. As we said, when we started this 11 episodes ago, it was just two of us.
We were young.
We were young, so full of hope. But it was
not
just
a single grey hair. I didn't have glasses back then.
I have so many grey hairs. It was just the two of us sitting in Anthony's office, recording a podcast that, quite frankly...
Oh, no, yeah. Sorry. Producer Caroline was there as well. Just the two of... James was so lost in my eyes that he forgot that Caroline was also there. The one who's actually recording and doing all the hard work, editing the podcast.
To be fair... It was very easy for me to forget that she was there because we kind of tucked her under the piano in your office where she couldn't be seen so we could record the podcast. Very sorry. So there was the three of us in a very
Who else was
office.
there that we just don't
I don't know. Was there anybody else? Yeah. Recording a podcast that, quite frankly, I mean, we enjoyed, and we were recording because we enjoyed it, and it was something that we'd always wanted to do, but not necessarily something that we thought that people would listen to. Yeah, and we've been quite overwhelmed actually with the response, and with comments and things like that. So before we move on to the next segment of the show, or how we have segments now, how we're actually going to segment the show going forward, there's a few people that I think we should just mention in terms of comments and things like that.
Yeah, we got a really lovely message from Stephanie, whose Twitter handle is Noodle Arms.
Yep, that's one.
Noodle Arms, because there's a couple of O's in there. And it was really wonderful, and we will be in touch, Stephanie, in terms of that message. That was really lovely and really wonderful, and she's from the States. She's from America, so we'll definitely be in touch about that. It's really neat. And please do, for people out there who want to get in touch or have ideas or just want to be involved in any way, please get in touch. And you can do that through Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, but also very shortly, Discord. We're going to open up a Discord. Which for those who don't know, Discord's it's sort of a messaging forum site on the internet, and it's quite malleable. You can do things like I don't know. Try to link in the description. Yeah, for those who don't know how to use Google. Ask Jeeves, you mean? And yeah, so there'll be a bit of communication. And Discord's really great because you can do things like embed messages and things. Also, a shout out to a couple of podcasts who have supported us and continue to support us, which are really neat, actually. One of them is Super Mario Brothers. Super Media Brothers. Sorry, it's one of those things where it's a pop culture thing that's so deeply embedded in you. You think Super Mario? No, Super Media Brothers, which is very clever. Super Media Brothers podcast. You can find them on Twitter and through all channels like that,
and who've been really lovely and supportive of us.
And the other one is Wednesday Night Game. Which is like tabletop RPGs and things, and they're very cool as well. And James and I are sort of at heart, we're nerds as well. We love that kind of thing. So definitely check them out as well. They're very cool. So
keep those comments coming in. Keep
thank you for your comments
watching.
and let us know what you think.
We try to get back to you all as quickly as possible.
Absolutely.
So moving on to our first segment. Which is going to be called What's on Top. So What's on Top, this segment is going to contain a number of things that are on top for us this week. So what we think is important this week. So I have an article for you again,
Yeah,
Anthony.
this is dangerous.
So yes, I have an article for you that has come out this week, and I thought could be, sort of not taking the piss, but is vague. It was sort of vaguely serious in topic. But I'll read it to you and we'll see how we go. So this is from irishcentral.com. It is entitled, it's by Kevin Toulis, at Kevin Toulis, Petty Bashing Back in Fashion in London Over Brexit Woes. Okay. So, here's the article. Hell hath no fury like an Englishman scorned over Brexit, and the Irish are again being blamed for all of Britain's Brexit woes. Paddy bashing is back again at the top of the British political agenda as the United Kingdom's looming Brexit exit nears... I love that, Brexit exit. Who says Brexit exit?
British exit.
Yes. Brexit exit nears 2 years, and 2 years of negotiations have failed to agree on a viable alternative trade deal.
Yeah, funny that.
In the UK, tabloid press, and on the BBC Islands, in the UK tabloid press, on the BBC Islands, naive young Prime Minister has been told to shut his gob and give up his rookie diplomacy to capitulate to London's Brexit demands. We all know who's in control of Leo Varadkar's puppet strings, barks the right-wing tabloid The Sun, inferring that every Irish politician is not more than a front for the EU Brussels-based Commission. UK Prime Minister Theresa May has vowed to return again to Brussels to unpick the deal over the Irish border that she has already agreed to, and force an Irish surrender over a new Brexit border and between the Republic and Northern Ireland. In a real sneer, former UKIP leader Nigel Farage, who we should all be listening to, told RTE that Ireland would ultimately leave the EU and that all the Irish opinion polls showing the support for Europe running at 88% of the electorate were completely meaningless. The Irish should really know their place. One unnamed Tory MP was quoted on the BBC. In recent interviews, other Irish politicians, like Neil Richmond, after wrongly being introduced as a member of the Dáil, which is Ireland's parliament, have been harangued for failing to capitulate to Westminster rule. Is it really your position to say, no change, forget it, nada, said the BBC radio host Nick Robinson, apparently awestruck that an Irish political figure could dare to disagree with the British position on Brexit.
How dare they?
Oh, it gets better. One former Tory cabinet minister, Priti Patel, even suggested that Britain should starve the Irish into submission by threatening to cut off food supplies to Ireland, which transit through the UK, to force Dublin to agree to Downing Street's Brexit demands.
That's a funny way of pronouncing Oliver Cromwell.
It is. Unless the UK comes to a deal with the EU in the next 6 weeks, Britain will crash out of the European Union on March 29, with potentially catastrophic economic consequences. Ports, both Irish and English, will seize up with newly mandated customs checks. Food and medicine will be in short supply, and both the pound sterling and the business confidence will fall through the floor. There's even talk of martial law. But in another surreal week in UK politics, the British House of Commons is focusing instead on blaming the Irish over the so-called backstop agreement over the Irish border. At the heart of this arcane dispute are the backstop clauses in a proposed EU-UK withdrawal agreement that guarantees that there will be no return to a hard border on the island of Ireland. No customs posts, no armed patrols, no anything that resembles the hardware of the former Troubles when parts of the border resembled a war zone. And in order for that to happen, both the UK and the EU have already agreed that the tariff regime on goods between Northern Ireland and the Republic will remain the same as the EU if 2 years of further trade talks fail to agree on a solution. Both the EU and the Irish government contend that the backstop is an insurance policy that would only come into effect if those further talks fail. But the Conservative Party's hardline Brexiteers see the backstop as a trap that will forever maroon them inside the EU customs union and prevent them from breaking free to forge new trade deals. When Ireland's impressive Foreign Minister Simon Coveney states for the 20th time that the European Parliament will not ratify any UK withdrawal deal without the backstop agreement, there will be no more negotiation. The Brexiteers simply do not listen. So, it goes on a little bit further, but I think we can leave it there.
Yeah.
So there you go. So
I think for me, I knew the moment you source the sun, which
hang on, but the sun was only one very small part of that, which was.
Yeah.
I mean, you can understand the sun screaming away about,
of course you can, a horrible rag of a newspaper.
That's right. How Ireland is trouble.
Don't read the Sun.
What worries me is British members of Parliament, Tory MPs, who, let's not forget, are part of the government, Tory MPs who are turning around and saying, that they should be starving the Irish of, food, and that the Irish should just capitulate and, give up. Because, why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they accept the demands of, Britain because they want to exit the European Union? Despite the fact that, as it said in there, 88% of the electorate wants to remain inside the EU. No, that's completely meaningless.
Yeah.
Completely meaningless. So it was interesting for me this week, whenever I was reading that. It was interesting for me to see that, that in some circles, at least, sort of Britain's, or the government in Britain, I'm not saying the average British person, but the government in Britain, their attitude towards the Irish hasn't changed since, the 1600s.
And also, it's worth noting that 88% is unprecedented in terms of...
That's a huge amount of support of staying.
But you never get that.
No.
Usually it's pretty, even.
Yeah.
88%, that's overwhelming. That's incredible.
Yeah, want to remain in the EU.
That's incredible.
Yeah. And I mean, even as I was, sort of watching things this week, I was watching interviews with people, both and I suppose this is what is relatively unusual for Ireland, both people from, I suppose you would call, former Unionists or former Republicans or, whatever, who were involved in the Troubles and that sort of stuff coming out and, saying that even to them, they could foresee a united Ireland.
Wow.
Based on the fact that, this whole palaver over Brexit has kind of forced the issue. It's forced the issue, and that your main unionist party, the DUP, who are now propping up the Tories, with their seats in Parliament, they're sitting there, the DUP are sitting there going, no, we'll have a hard border, it'll be fine, nobody will care about a hard border, we need to have a hard border, and the Irish population are going, nope, even unionists are going, nope, that's not the way to go forward. So,
and it's incredibly, I mean, it's typical, isn't it, that the one thing that really unites Ireland is the mutual hatred of the English. No, it is, isn't it? It's very...
But it sort of begs the question a little bit, doesn't it? It begs the question that, I guess, Brexit is a prime example of this. And we see a little bit of this in the United States as well, this kind of idea, like Trump, Trump-esque Republicans, I suppose, who sort of want to go back to the glory days of this kind of, I don't know, isolationist empire.
Rule Britannia.
Yeah, rule Britannia, in England, somehow that they're going to come out of this strong, independent economic power, which they just aren't anymore. In the same way that, Trump seems to think that isolating the US is going to, in some way, create this...
It's the good old days.
That's right, the isolated empire that they were in the 1930s. Do you think that the process of globalization, this kind of interconnectedness that we have now, this kind of idea that we're so in each other's pockets now, has kind of destroyed that sort of that we will never see a country like that again, that we'll never see like an empire of that kind again.
I think a big part of it as well is that there's a lot of paranoia about, and for a long time, you go anywhere on the internet, there's a huge paranoia about the whole, it's described as a Zionist one. No, it is. It's that people are terrified of that whole New World Order thing. And, that's what globalization brings. It's this one world, one government, and they're terrified of that. And I think that probably leaks into it as well, because a lot of the people that there seems to be, if you had a Venn diagram, there seems to be a bit of overlapping between people who are anti-globalization, and they tend to err on the side of conspiracy. One world, one. Yeah, but it is. It's very fundamental level. It's this fear of mingling and being associated, having to share that. But also, it's the whole, as you said, it's the whole glory days of the British Empire, and
I think it's phenomenal. We are in 2019 now. Not even, I nearly said 2018. We're in 2019, and the British government, or members of the British government, are talking about starving the population of a country because they don't believe in with
it's
them.
Disturbing, isn't it? But it's very
not some hugely foreign nationals, people that they claimed at one stage were part of their empire. They want to starve them in order to push through something that is going to be incredibly harmful.
Do you think it's a bullying thing where because the EU have pushed back on Britain, in Brussels?
But of course they have. But
but that's what I mean.
Thing.
Because the English have been pushed back. The EU have said, no, we're not having a bar of that.
Of course they're not. This is.
So and then the English are like, well, who can we bully now? Oh, the Irish. We can bully the Irish.
We can always bully the Irish.
Yeah.
But this is the wonderful thing that I love about this whole attitude, right? Okay, here's one of the wonderful things. How many of the original people who campaigned for Brexit are still in the government and negotiating Brexit? None of them. Because they were all clever enough to go, actually, do you know what? This is a losing battle. We're getting
You're giving them way too clever, I think. Sinister.
You've got people like Nigel Farage sitting there and saying this is the way that we should all be going, and this is what we should be doing. The man's
he says from the sidelines.
Man's a freaking moron.
Yeah.
I just love that they sat there and they were like, oh no, of course when we go to the EU and we tell them, we want to leave and we want to do this, they'll all just go, oh yeah, no, that's okay, absolutely fine, off you go, you can have whatever you like. And they seem genuinely surprised that the EU's gone, no, we're not accepting that. And of course they're not. And of course the EU are going to make it as difficult as possible for Britain to leave the EU because they don't want everybody leaving the EU and going, oh, well, we can get as beneficial stuff being out of the EU as we can being in the EU.
That's
so
right. It can't be a viable option.
It can't be a viable option for them. So of course they're making it. Of course they're going, no, unless you're part of the EU, you don't, Britain seemed to have this weird idea that they were going to leave the EU, have all of the benefits of being in the EU, but with none of the drawbacks. Like, they were just going to be able to exit and go, well, no, we'll still have all of the same stuff that we had in the EU. And they seem genuinely surprised that that's not the case.
Do you think they are, though? They know.
No, I think
the politicians know.
No, I think that there are certainly parts of the current government there, the current Tory government. I think there are certainly parts there that are genuinely surprised.
Wow.
They are genuinely surprised that, when, the good old British, ruling class say that this is what we're going to do, that everybody else doesn't just do it. So
they're in a bubble. They're still in a bubble.
That was my upper class accent, by the way.
Yeah,
Did you like
good.
that?
Yeah,
that
was good.
I was quite proud of that one.
I felt a little bit uncomfortable and threatened.
Did you? Was that very threatening?
Yeah.
Did you feel your colonial past coming back?
I did. The antipodes are shaking.
Yes, that's right. But they seem genuinely surprised, and so we retreat back to, oh well, we'll starve them, or well, we'll beat them into submission, rather than, and this is the other thing. They can't come up with any kind of legitimate answer to the problem. The problem is far more complex. Yeah. I love
you can't boil it down to sound bites, which is what.
Look, Dominic Raab, the guy that was in charge of negotiating Brexit, he's no longer, I think, in charge of negotiating Brexit, but he's just
funny that.
But he
good job, Dominic.
He in a hearing said or admitted to the fact that he'd never actually read the Good Friday Agreement, in spite of the fact that it is one of the main sticking points. For those of you that don't know, the Good Friday Agreement was the thing that essentially brought an end to the hostilities, the troubles in Ireland, and one of the things that the Good Friday Agreement, and one of the big parts of the Good Friday Agreement is that there would never be a hard border between Northern Ireland and Southern Ireland, that there would never be checkpoints, military or otherwise, in that area. And so they were like, oh, yeah, we'll just whack a checkpoint, like this big checkpoint up there. It's not a problem. And everybody suddenly in Ireland was like, hang on a minute.
Well,
hang on a minute.
Not
This
to
is actually
mention,
a bit of a problem.
trying to starve the population into submission.
Yes, which has always been incredibly effective. I know. It's. I mean, it just reeks.
Tone deaf.
It not only tone deaf. It just reeks of absolute desperation, doesn't it? Like a group of people.
It's psychopathic.
A group of people who have no idea what they're doing, who are negotiating a thing that the majority of people actually don't want. You know, according to recent polls and things, the majority of people don't want. You know, that they're trying to force it on in some kind of, look, we delivered on what we said we'd do. Yeah. I think it's an absolute bizarre thing. My pick, and you heard this here first, my pick is that the government will be tumbled in a vote of absolute no confidence over the whole Brexit thing. Labour Party, even under Jeremy Corbyn, Labour Party will come to power with a sweeping majority, and the first thing they'll do is go, we're not, that's it. Brexit's over. Yeah. We're staying part of the European Union, and this will have been one big, massive waste of money and time. That's my pick. Either that, or I suppose the only other option is that they manage somehow to ram this through. You end up with United Ireland.
But even if they say no to Brexit, so what would that be? What would that be? Brenta? I don't know. What would that be? Going back in?
Brenta.
Yeah. We were just kidding. We're not leaving.
It would be Bray. We're now for braying.
We're now for
the
Bray.
British stay. I don't know.
But they're going to have to start from square one with the EU.
Yep.
And how's that going to go?
They've just they're in, I think, one of the world's greatest no-win, no-win positions. No matter what they do, they're in this no-win position. You know, however, if I was an incredibly cynical politician,
which you would be if you were.
Which I would be. I'm just an incredibly cynical human being. Yeah. If I was an incredibly cynical politician, I would sit there and I'd go, the general mood of the population is that we don't want Brexit, that, you know, that there's no way we can come out of a Brexit with any kind of deal that the people who want to exit are going to want. Or that the people that want to remain are going to want. So actually, do you know what? I'm going to go with the slightly larger camp and go with the Remain camp and go, actually, do you know what? We're not doing it. I'm going to come in and, we'll have some egg on our faces and stuff like that. But, you know, I'll be hailed as a hero by, you know, big chunks of the population.
Yeah.
I'd take that. I'd take those bets. I'd take those odds.
Nice.
That's what I'd take. Excellent. Cool.
Horrible article.
So that ramps up what's on top. So on the only scale that matters, from 0 to 10.
You want me to rank petty bashing?
Petty bashing. No.
Really?
No. How likely do you think it is that Britain will gain an exit from the EU? Without being forcibly ejected. Okay, so without being forcibly ejected, that'll
be a good headline. England has been forcibly ejected from Europe.
EU. Yeah. So
it'd be like Get Smart with the car.
Yes, that's right. Yes,
with the eject button.
Yeah, they go. So 0 to 10. How likely is it that within the next 6 weeks, Britain will come up with a deal that they're happy with and the EU's happy with?
2.
That's optimistic. Mine's
is.
0. I literally think in 6 weeks they're being ejected from the EU.
The reason I say 2 is because I don't want them to leave, because I think it would be catastrophic.
Yep.
So the mere fact that I want something to happen means it probably won't. So that's why I have a bit of trepidation about it, because I don't want to go in hard and saying, nah, it's not going to happen, because,
I hope it doesn't happen.
I've been hurt before, James.
I know. I'm sorry.
It's not just you. No, it's not just you.
Just me. I no longer feel special, Anthony. Excellent. So, moving into our second section, which we are going to call Uncanny Valley. So, in the Uncanny Valley section of our podcast, we're going to talk a little bit about just fun stuff. Fun stuff that we found, articles that are a bit weird, things that we think are a bit funny. So, I was actually trying to think about something for this week. And Anthony and I were having a few beverages earlier on this afternoon. And we noticed that the particular beer that we're drinking this evening, which is DB Export 33, that they have a very interesting... well, it's actually because I'm trying to look after my figure.
It's 33% less carbohydrates.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. Because that's what I often think about when I'm drinking my beer, is how many carbs it has in it. Yeah. They have an interesting campaign at the moment, don't they? Would you like to explain a little bit about what the campaign is? Because I know you love this campaign.
So DB Export are doing a promotion at the moment. It's called Save the World. And basically what they're doing is that they're asking for ideas on how to save the world. Because they've run out of ideas. DB Export are like, look, we need help. We need to save the world. And we're
going to do it ourselves.
Yeah,
like,
we'll do it.
We as a brewery.
Yeah.
We're going to do this. We're going to single-handedly save the world. We just want your ideas.
Yeah.
That's what we're short of. We have the resources.
Yeah, they have the resources.
It's just your ideas we need.
Yeah. And don't worry about political pressure or lobbying or anything. Mate. It's as long as you can give us the ideas, we'll do it.
That's right.
And of course, being the cynical person that I am, my first thought was, well, it's ideas are great. However, it's the action of those ideas or putting them into play that actually matters when it comes to saving the world. But there are plenty of great ideas out there.
But would you also say that, like, it's not that we don't know how to do these things.
We know how to save the world.
Like, it's not like you sit there and you go, this stream's really polluted. I don't know what to do about that.
Yeah, what are we going to do? Oh, the ozone layer's screwed.
Oh, we've got all this rubbish.
If only we could do something about that. Oh, well.
If there's only something we could do about all of this plastic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, just not use it.
Yeah, or... and it's mostly corporations. Well, it is. It's corporations that are polluting the world.
Yeah. So anyway, we have this this
I mean,
promotion.
it's good. It's good. A beer is making us more socially conscious, I guess, is a good thing. Every time you open a beer, underneath the cap, there's a little.
Yep. So
motivating.
Yeah. So this is what we thought we'd do for this.
The world is screwed, and you're
That's
going
right.
to die.
You're going to die. That's right. So what we thought we'd do with this was because Anthony read one, and the reason we thought we'd do this for this little part of the podcast was because then Anthony proceeded for about half an hour to rant about the one thing on the bottom of the beer cap that came up. So what I've been doing for the rest of the evening is saving the bottle caps, just so we can have a discussion about what's printed underneath and what's what we think of these ideas. So I've put them over in this corner here. Great. So I'm just going to get them.
That's good. ASMR.
I'm gonna read some of them out.
Okay. Here we go.
I just don't
Let's save the world together.
I just don't even know what this is.
Leave a comment on how you want to save the world.
So you can answer any of these questions at home. I don't really even understand this one. So this question is...
It's a good start.
Keen to help us save the entire world?
The entire world. Blanket statement.
Like, what are you going to say to that?
Blanket statement. No. Actually, I'm busy today.
No, busy.
I'm feeling a bit under the weather.
And what I love is that whenever they put that on there, they weren't even like, we have to sit there and go, are you keen to save us the world? No, it's the entire world.
It's like when you're on Facebook. Okay, and you're going through your feed, and there's a thing that comes up, and it's like this comment if you're against cancer.
Yeah.
And I'm like, who is for cancer? Like, why do I have to let you know that I'm against cancer?
You know what? I wish there was more cancer. Yeah. Okay, so there you are. Here's the next one.
I'm keen to save the world.
Here's the next one.
Am I answering? What am I meant to say?
I don't know.
Nah, give it a miss.
You're going to love this one. You're going to love this one.
Okay. Sorry, DB.
We help save beaches. Any ideas on water?
We busted our load on beaches, guys. We blew the budget on beaches, but we forgot about the water.
Do you have any ideas of just any ideas?
Any ideas of what about saving water or just water in general? What you can do with
just
water?
water in general.
By the way, credit to DB. This is quite cool. So what they do, this is why they think they're saving beaches. And I don't know why I say it like that. Like, this is why they think they're saving beaches. Like I'm saving beaches, meaningful way.
In your spare time,
Yeah, in my spare time. But they take old bottles and they grind them right down until they're granulated, and they use it as sand.
A good way, I suppose.
Which
Good
is
way
cool.
of recycling.
Very cool way. Yeah, which is
cool.
hats off to them.
So
That's cool.
well done to you, DB.
Yeah. However, DB.
By the way, if you'd like to sponsor this podcast.
However, DB, you forgot about the water, didn't you?
Yeah.
And the problem with the water is that you're using that water to go into the beer. So the way to save the water.
But I just love that. Like, I love.
But
the
do that mean
sentence.
the
I love the
sea
sentence.
water, or-
We save beaches. Full stop. Any ideas on water? Like, could you just have just anything?
The onus is on us now.
Yes.
Like, we've done our bit.
Have you got any ideas for water?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't, by the way. Sorry.
Okay, here we go. Here's one. This is not so much a question as a statement. Drink DB Export and save the entire world. Again, we're back to the entire world. That's it. Just drink DB Export.
Okay.
Save the entire world. We're not even
Sounds
drinking
good to me.
DB Export. We're drinking 33. Okay.
Oh, that's a...
Here we go. Fish numbers are in decline. What should we do? Go
Restrict commercial fishing.
There you go.
Fishing.
Fishing?
Fishing.
Restrict
You
commercial
may not
fishing?
know what that is because it's quite a niche subset of fishing. No, seriously, restrict commercial fishing.
There you go.
And New Zealand have started to do that. They've put restrictions on how close trawlers can
Trawling,
come to the...
yeah.
Yeah, trawling is a huge problem. And they have restricted how close they can come. However, we can always do better.
That got very serious.
It's
you have
something that's
actual-
quite... Yeah,
you
it's
have
quite, it's
actual
something
ideas
quite
on this.
close. Yeah, oh no, I do. I don't like... commercial fishing is something that for a long time has been
Let's just say this, like commercial fishing in a non-sustainable way, because there are some people who commercially fish in a sustainable way, but commercial anything that involves that kind of deep sea trawling, where they just take a giant net and scoop up anything that's down there. Yeah,
There's actually, on that note, there's actually a fantastic app you can download if you live in New Zealand. It's a New Zealand app. It's a seafood app. That you can download, and it actually tells you how endangered the fish you're eating is, and whether it's probably been farmed sustainably.
so there's this
or-
level of guilt, so you can sit there and
Yes.
calculate your own level of guilt.
Absolutely,
I
and how
see.
bad. And that's correct. Like sustainable fishing.
It's
is
like the good
answer.
place. You can sit there and go,
Yeah.
this is worth so many bad points or so
Yeah.
many good points for eating this fish.
Absolutely.
Right, here's the next one. Idea to restore the ozone. The crazier the better.
The craziest. Why?
I don't know, because apparently crazy ideas are the way to to actually get things happening.
Okay. Well, we're unlucky here in New Zealand. For those who don't live in New Zealand, we have a hole.
Especially in the Hawke's Bay.
Hawke's Bay is really bad. We have a big hole above us in the ozone, and that's why things
You
like
burn so quick.
yeah, you do. You burn really quickly. I don't know. I think I'm not qualified to answer that.
No, I'm not either. But the other interesting thing is, I remember reading this somewhere before, and this could be complete rubbish. But I remember reading somewhere before that they were saying that actually, prevailing thought could be that there's supposed to be a hole in the ozone layer, that it's not actually supposed to be as big as it is, but actually there's supposed to be a natural hole in the ozone layer to allow things to escape anyway. Otherwise, you're in a sealed hermetic bubble, which is not quite what
like
you want.
greenhouse gases.
Yeah. So that there is supposed to be some kind of hole there. The fact that it's expanded is not good. But
Well, they did a while back now. They did change a lot of ingredients in deodorants because apparently deodorants were a big reason.
yeah,
that
CFCs and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, we're destroying the
But
ozone
the other thing is that what we could do to fix the hole in the ozone layer. Actually force the United States to come back on board with the Kyoto Agreement.
Yes. Yeah.
Put pressure on politicians and things like that to stay on track with carbon emissions and actually not allow populist, politicians like Donald Trump to exit out of those agreements or not be involved in those agreements. Yeah, so this one is I don't know. So this is more of a statement than a question. I think it might even be a motivational statement. Like you could put it on we'd get rid of these instead of putting live, laugh, love up there, we're going to put share your inner genius with the world. That's it. Not a question.
Okay.
That's all it is. Let's see. Oh, this is snappy.
Okay.
Don't just buy the box. Think outside the box.
DB. Nice.
Planet Earth. Full stop. Have
That's
a beer and think of an idea to save it. That's what I do when I have a beer, is think of an idea to save planet Earth.
It's very broad, isn't it?
Well, I just don't quite understand what they're going to do with that. Like, so what? They're legitimately asking for people to, and don't get me wrong, I know we're taking the piss a little bit, but so what are they asking? I guess I feel that the idea is like at least a generally kind of good one, get people to think about sustainability and stuff like that. But so what are they wanting? They're like legitimately wanting people to submit ideas about what they think they could do about commercial fishing to a beer company.
Do you think, and this is something that it's become a very common trend, and it's a good trend, I think, especially in things like packaging, for example, where more sustainable ways of using packaging.
Oh, absolutely. We no longer eat burgers out of styrofoam containers.
No, that's right. And things like plastic bags and all that. And even,
Which
like
for now, for those of you who are not in New Zealand, actually plastic bags in supermarkets are a thing of the past.
Yeah.
We no longer have single-use plastic bags.
Yeah.
Sorry, carry on.
So things like FSC approved paper and card and things like that. So have become way more popular, and the whole environmentally friendly focused movement has become quite big, which is great. It's only a good thing. And companies have acknowledged that, like obviously DB have as well, and it's become a trend now to be seen to be on the a front runner for more sustainable. And of course, when it comes to PR, this has become quite popular as well. Recently, Carlsberg did an ad campaign where they talked about how they had donated. This is off the top of my head, so forgive me if I'm wrong, but about $300,000 towards water, clean water.
Oh, yeah, okay.
The ad campaign cost them more than $1 million. They spent more than $1 million gloating about how they had donated $300,000. So do you think, regardless...
So what you're saying is the cynical part of you is saying that being environmentally friendly or eco-sustainability is the latest in a trend of sort of advertising kind of... It's a good way of saying, hey, look at us, we're a great company because we're sustainable. Look at how sustainable we are.
We've done the bare minimum to be sustainable.
Yeah, but we're going to tell you that we are sustainable.
And we can get up on our high horse. And
Yeah.
Which, again, they're doing something which is great. So is that necessarily a bad thing? Maybe it's not. I mean, they're at least doing something.
But you see, again, what I said, I want to know what they're doing with it. Like, it's all very well and good to sit there and go, come up with an outrageous idea for fixing the hole in the ozone layer. But then what do they actually do? Like are DBs purporting then that they're actually going to do something with these ideas? So they're like, okay, we're going to use political sway, I don't know, to try and leverage ideas for doing this sort of stuff, where they're just like, you know what, the best beer to drink while you're coming up with ways of saving the planet is DB.
They're trying to insert themselves.
I guess, and so I guess that's where my thing would fall down, is like, if they're going to do something with these ideas, that's great. If they're just trying to be the beer of the person who thinks about the planet, then it's just a marketing. It's just a marketing ploy.
Exactly. So we need to do a little bit more research into DB's whole plan.
So what you should do, DB, is send us a whole heap of beer, and we'll do a lot of research into the...
We'll come up with several ideas. One per beer, and go from there.
Okay, so let's wrap this up. Let's say on a scale, from the only scale that matters, from 0 to 10, how likely is drinking DB Export 33? How much more likely is it for you drinking DB? I can't say. Why can I not say DB Export? DB Export 33. How much more likely is that to make you environmentally sustainable? 10 being every time you drink, every time you look at a DB Export 33 or drink one, you're going to be like, I have to do something about the planet. 0 being like, it doesn't cross my mind.
You've just read me about 10 or so bottle caps.
Yes. Has it made you think about environmental sustainability?
It has. But on the whole, in general, well, I mean, we had a whole segment talking about it, so I guess I can't say anything less than a 5. Because
Wow.
it has. I'd be lying if I...
No, so you're saying that if you legitimately just went into the liquor store and you picked up some Export 33 and you were drinking that, you'd sit there and go, this is making me think about more ways in which I could save the planet, or more ways I could do this.
but I would think about the campaign.
I see.
So it worked on that level, but
see. I see.
But I'd probably forget about it very quickly, depending how many beers I was in. Yeah.
See. So my thing is, I'd sit there and I'd go, right, okay, you already had your ideas or your thoughts on commercial fishing.
Yeah.
And you would say those thoughts. It's not drinking DB that's made you think, we should do something about commercial fishing.
Correct. Yeah.
I'm going to say 2. And the reason I'm going to say 2 is the only reason I'm aware of it now is actually because I was drinking it with you and you said, hey, look, there's this stuff on these bottle caps that's talking about environmental sustainability. Now, when I bought the beer and whenever I was drinking the beer, I had no idea. Didn't look at it, had no idea. So I would literally have had no idea that was their campaign, that for some reason they were wanting me to do stuff. And I am an incredibly sort of chop your nose off to spite your face person. So if somebody tells me I have to do something, I want to do the complete opposite.
Especially when it's through a cynical marketing campaign.
Yeah, that's right. So if somebody sits here and goes, oh, you have to think about environmental sustainability, I'd be like, no, I don't. Can't tell me what to do. Like, you know, and I mean, I know that's incredibly...
I hate being environmentally friendly now. Thanks,
I mean, I know that's incredibly childish and those things.
Yeah.
But I know that about myself. I know that I'm one of those kinds of people. I like to think that I am relatively environmentally conscious. I like to think that I'm one of those people that I do think about sustainability. I do think about things that I do and try and make things that I do environmentally sustainable. But certainly DB Export, drinking DB Export, which is a fine beer, thank you. But certainly drinking it doesn't make me any more environmentally conscious than I was before. And I'm a little bit worried, as I said to you before, that I'm a little bit worried that they're trying to become the beer of the environmentally conscious, if that sort of makes sense.
It does.
Excellent. So... we're going to move on to our last segment. So our last segment is something that we're going to try out, and we're actually bizarrely trying out this for the first time live on this podcast. This could be an absolute disaster. So what we decided that we'd like to do is now. Anthony and I, this may come as a surprise to some of you, it may not to others, is that Anthony and I don't plan out a hell of a lot of these podcasts. These podcasts are us sitting down and having a conversation. So we don't generally know where the podcast is going to go. If you want a really, really good example of this, go back and listen to episode 10, where Anthony talks about staglands. Now, I had, at the beginning of that particular podcast, I was sitting there going, right, okay, this is what we're kind of going to talk about. This is where we're going to go. And Anthony just talked about staglands for 5 minutes.
I love staglands.
And I had no idea. By the way, that whole thing was
great.
coming.
A dear friend of mine, Caleb, actually recently messaged me the other day. He said he'd listened to the podcast. He said, I really want to go to Staglands now.
You see, so
you're welcome, Staglands.
If you want an example of how sideways this can go, the Staglands conversation is great because I had no idea that was coming. So,
Staglands is wonderful.
Yeah, so the what we're going to do is we're going to call this section, because we thought we'd harness that chaos, and we're going to call this section 30-second waffle. Now, what's going to happen in this section is that Anthony and I have written a bunch of questions or statements that the other person has not seen. So I've written a bunch for Anthony. Anthony's written a bunch for me. We're going to, every week, we're going to draw one out of a little container, and we are going to have...
Sorry.
30 seconds.
I love how specific you are. A little container.
A little container. 30 seconds to justify what's on the card. So here's what'll happen. Somebody will pick the statement. 10 seconds to think about it. 30 seconds to justify.
And we have no idea what
we have no idea what these are. So these are legitimately off the top of our head. These I've never seen the things that Anthony's come up with, and has not seen the things that I've come up with. And if my questions, the questions that Anthony's come up for me, are anything like the questions that I've come up with for him, they're things that I think you're really gonna struggle with. And you're really gonna hate. Yeah? So we have producer Caroline, who's pretty magic. So producer Caroline is going to try and keep us on time with this little section. And for those of you who are watching this on YouTube, hopefully there'll be a little counter up there so you'll see that we're sticking to our times. So I suppose you have to accept or you have to believe us that we've legitimately not seen any of these before. And we'll go from there. So, who's going to go first? Actually, we didn't work this out. Paper, rock, scissors.
Paper, rock, scissors.
Paper, rock, scissors.
Paper, scissors, rock.
No, that is not a thing. It's paper, rock, scissors. Who says paper, scissors, rock?
Because that's how...
That's stupid.
Rock, paper, scissors.
No, what?
That's backwards.
No,
there's no flow.
I'm disgusted. Where did you come up with it? Who raised you? This is so uncouth.
Good point.
Right, okay. I'm now so confused. Why don't we do paper, rock, scissors? Right. 1, 2, 3.
What are you? By the way, for those who are just listening, we just did the same thing 3 times.
Okay. Yeah. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Okay. You're going first.
Okay.
Here's my
small container.
Small container. Here's my container of questions that I prepared for Ant. So anyone will do.
Right, I'll try and reach.
So once you picked one out, read it out, and once you've read it out, you have 10 seconds to think about it, and then 30 seconds to justify it.
Okay. All right. Okay. Here we go. Trump has been beneficial for America. Justify. Great. This is fantastic. Okay, and I've got 6 seconds, and I'm about to start now. Trump has been beneficial for America because we didn't know how good we had it. What Trump has done is he has exposed the incredible weaknesses throughout the American political way. He's exposed how it can be exploited by an oligarchy. He's exposed exactly every single problem and every stop guard that doesn't currently exist. And because of that, the other side are going to rise even stronger and create a better and greater America.
Boom! Well done. I thought you'd enjoy that one.
Oh.
So, vote in the comments below or wherever, and let us know whether you think that Anthony managed to convince you that Trump has been good for America. I would like to say, by the way,
small ray of sunshine.
Before we go through all of this, I would like to say that the arguments that come up here in 30-second waffles are things that we almost exclusively completely do not believe. Because these were things that I certainly know with questions that I put out for Anthony, they were things I know he would struggle to agree with.
Yeah.
So, and I'm assuming it's probably going to be the same thing the other way around. Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
Let's go.
I do believe what I just said, although I don't know whether it's been worth it, however. I don't think it's been worth it.
Yeah, whether you would go back and be like, you know what, actually we have to elect him again just for that.
Yeah,
okay.
Exactly. Bring on 2020.
Oh, I'm worried about this. Okay. Why you like Mamma Mia, the smash hit musical? All right, so I'm justifying why I like Mamma Mia.
Yeah.
Okay. Because you know I love Mamma Mia. Okay, Mamma Mia, the smash hit musical, has been a fantastic boon to musical theatre generally. It has brought in a whole new audience of musical theatre audience members. Young children who've always loved ABBA, who grow up on ABBA, their parents love ABBA. They're introduced to a whole new medium of theatre through Mamma Mia, the musical. It was so good that they made a sequel. There you go, Mamma Mia, the musical.
Nice.
Do you know what's slightly ironic about that? And I'm going to put this out here right now. So you can vote on the comments again below whether you think I convinced you that Mamma Mia the musical is any good. But it's actually really hard. 30 seconds goes so quickly.
It does go very quickly.
So vote below. I'm going to actually go through yours because do you know, in the questions that I had for you, I also wrote down justify why Mamma Mia is the greatest musical of all time.
Wow. Are we doing another one?
No. That's it. So I.
Well, I mean, we could.
Do you want to do another one?
Yes,
do another one. Okay,
it's a debut.
So well, if you we'll say that if you pick out your Mamma Mia one, you don't have to do the Mamma Mia one because we've done it. So obviously we both feel very strongly about Mamma Mia.
I was actually in Mamma Mia the musical, by the way, and I enjoyed being in the show.
A phenomenal flipper dance.
Thank you. That's the best scene in the whole show, the flipper dance.
Yeah, it really was. Yeah. All right. So okay. That's really funny. I can't believe that. I can't believe we both had the same thing. Yeah. All right, here we go. 30-second waffle.
Okay.
Like we legitimately have not seen these before.
Yeah, this is new. Okay. Mamma Mia's the great.
All right, you get to pick another one. There you go. See, I told you.
Okay.
See, just as well I told you.
The Big Bang Theory has been beneficial to geek culture. Okay, I've got 9 seconds.
Sorry, I had to after our previous episode.
The Big Bang Theory has been beneficial to geek culture because it's brought geek culture to the mainstream. So no longer are geeks hiding in their mum's basements playing D&D and being picked on like in Stranger Things. It's brought those geeky things like Razer computers and Alienware and things to the forefront, which has meant and has a huge mainstream audience, which has become more acceptable, and it's meant that geeks have become cool and trendy, and it has been beneficial. It's been good. It's been great.
I had to put that in the air. I had to put that in the air based on a previous episode. Yeah. So once again, vote in the comments down below whether you think that Anthony has convinced you that the Big Bang Theory has been beneficial for geek culture. Do you notice? I'm noticing a pattern with these questions, and the pattern is generally not only that we have to justify something that we obviously don't think, but that the go-to argument seems to be that it has brought it to the mainstream. Like the only thing that we can, the only thing that we can think of is that actually it's given it more attention, I guess.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Last one.
All right. Here we go.
Can't be any worse than Mamma Mia.
No.
Oh, gee, there's a lot in here. Yeah. You clearly came up with more than I did. Right, okay. Justify being an ICP fan. Yeah, okay, so you're wanting me to justify my love of ICP.
Insane Clown Posse.
Insane Clown Posse, for those of you playing at home. Why do I love Insane Clown Posse? A essay by James McCaffrey. No, I enjoy Insane Clown Posse, and I enjoy Insane Clown Posse because they are incredibly different. I think that what they're trying to do is take that particular genre of music in a very, very different direction. If you're wanting to sit down and listen to something absolutely different from the mainstream, ICP is the way to go. I think it's funny, I think it's outrageous, and I think it's a good time.
I could listen to Gregorian throat singing and apply that same argument.
Well, Gregorian chant or Mongolian throat singing. You can have one or the other.
Ladies and gentlemen,
music.
We have ourselves a Gregorian chant snob.
That's right. Don't mix up your
I
Gregorian
prefer
chant.
Mongolian
Actually,
throat
I
singing,
think you'll find I prefer the Gregorian chant of the 14th century German. No.
Of all the things to be a snob about.
I'm a music teacher. It's my job to be a snob.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
It
So,
was good.
that was fun. Actually, that was fun. So we're going to continue with this this little segment at the end, 30-second waffle, where we're going to try and present each other with increasingly terrible things to justify.
Yeah.
So if you have any ideas for things that you would like to like for us to put into little boxes of things to justify, if you message them through, producer Caroline will get those and we'll deal with those, because producer Caroline's really good at you see, the thing is, producer Caroline's very, very good with the social media. I sound like such a man with the social media on the Facebook and on the Twitter. Producer Caroline's very, very good with social media. Anthony and I, not so much.
No.
We do try very hard, but producer Caroline is really good at replying to all of you and that sort of stuff, and it's been so overwhelming. So if you have any ideas for what you'd like to see in 30-second waffle, or things that you'd like to hear us justify, one or other of us or both of us, send them through. Wait them up in the comments. And of course, you can find us. Anthony, I'm going to hand over to you because I can never remember where you can find us. Where can you find us, Anthony?
You can find us on the social media platforms.
The social media.
Such as Instagram and Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
And on those ones, you can find us on Esoterica Podcast.
Mm-hmm.
I did that off the top of my head.
You did.
And on Twitter, at Esoterica Pod. It's shorter, which makes it easier to type out on your keyboard.
And of course, later on this week, you'll be able to find us on Discord.
Yes,
and,
I'm very excited about that.
We are hoping this week, because we're still relatively new at this.
Yeah.
We're hoping that this week to get a stream up for you. So we've decided the first thing that we're going to stream is Soma.
And that's on Twitch.
So that'll be on Twitch. We will also try to upload that to YouTube for you as well, on the channel as well. So
I said we'll try.
We'll try. So again,
we will.
We're pretty new at this, so we'll give it a go, and it'll be a bit of fun.
Yeah.
So thank you for joining us here once again. Thank you for being very patient while Anthony and I put up shelves.
Come back from music festivals and
put some lamps on the table. So thank you for being very patient, and thank you for joining us, and we feel so privileged that we get to sit down here every week and put out a podcast for you. Let us know if there's anything else you'd like to see from us, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks for your support. Catch you later.